So, 4 days from now, we're in the game, standing in front of the king. Nitzavim, we're standing in front of the king, that's Teshuva. Teshuva is coming back to being in front of Hashem. And I've said up until this point that the Teshuva of Elul is not looking back at all. I'm not looking back, I'm looking forward. It's a going forward. Lehit kadem, to go forward, which we said before comes from the word kodem, which means before. We're going forward back to the beginning when we were standing in front of Hashem in the Garden of Eden before we did the sin. And any avera, any sin is taking us away from standing in front of Hashem. So tshuva means I'm coming back to standing in front of Hashem. That's it. So we're not looking at our past. That's a Yom Kippur type thing to do. This tshuva of Elul is all about looking forward. This is who I want to be. Someone came up to me, a Gesher guy, and he said, Rebbe, I just don't know who I am. I just an 18-year-old kid. I want to find out this year, I want to find out who I am. So I said to him, you don't really need to know who you are. You've got to work out who do you want to be. And then be that. Who cares who you are? Now, obviously, in order to go forward, then you have to work out who you've been being up until now. But don't try and find yourself. Try and find who you want to be. And then go and be that thing moving forward. So that's what you got to do. So he said it's a lot about ratzon. What's your ratzon? What are you yearning for? What are you thinking about? What are you investing in? What's important to you? That's it. Your ratzon doesn't define you, but it says a lot about you. When you date a beautiful Jewish woman, what's most important to find out about her? If you only got one question, you got to make up your mind. Is this the one? The one question isn't what's your favorite movie? How much money has your dad got? Another one question. The one question is, what do you want? What do you want? What's important to you in life? What are your values? That says the most about someone. Do they want the same thing that I want? Do they want the right thing? So your ratzon is very important. So it's been up until now, it's the tshuva of ratzon. I just want to connect to Hashem. What are you being judged on Rosh Hashanah? How much you want to connect to Hashem. That's it. It's the king's coronation day. How happy are you going to be? You're going to be judged on how happy you are on Rosh Hashanah. That's what the judgment is. So you better be really happy. Because how can you not be happy? You're praying in a yeshiva opposite the Kotel in Jerusalem. That's unbelievable. You just found out that there's no way a human being could have written the Torah. That's unbelievable. You now know the whole purpose and truth of existence. How can that be better? You're with friends and rabbis and mentors that you've been learning with for a long time. You know how good it's going to be here. You know how good Thursday morning is going to be here. It's going to be one of the greatest mornings of your life, if not the greatest. It is so good. And don't worry about, I can't keep up, I have to say all the words. Don't forget it. You open your heart to Hashem, you sing along if you can, you hum along if you can't, you clap along, you do anything, you dance along. It's just a day saying, Hashem, I just want to come home. It's time to come home. After that, we start the Aser Shemei Teshuva and Yom Kippur, which is a different Teshuva. That's the Teshuva of now let's clear out the past. Okay, now I like that you want to be in the game, but you're a bit dirty. Hashem says, you want to marry me? That's good, but you got to clean yourself. You're a bit stinky there because of all the averas you've done. So let's get rid of the dirt, which is great. Hashem says, I want you to be in relationship with me, and that's good. So we'll talk about that afterwards. However, last night, for most of us, we started Selichot. And Selichot is already a little taste into that. Of saying, okay, you know what, I've messed up a little bit. It's a little admitting before we get into Rosh Hashanah, because there is space to feel a little bit, I let us down. Rosh Hashanah itself, no Selichot. You're not allowed to say chatati. You're not allowed to say the word chatati. I sinned. You're not allowed to say that on Rosh Hashanah. Amazing. We say Avinu Malkeinu. We have a whole long list of Avinu Malkeinu. Elanu Melech. We got a whole list of Avinu Malkeinus. The first one is Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. We sinned in front of you. Most congregations do not say that. We miss out on that one. You just go, Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. The Rosh Yeshiva said the other day that even the communities that do say Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Levanecha, they have to be makaven, they have to have intention that it wasn't them, it was our ancestors' sin. We didn't sin. We don't eat peanuts, we don't eat nuts on Rosh Hashanah because they have the gematria chet. That's how careful we're being. Don't mention chet. Forget it. But for these 4 days, we're just building up, and we have to remember a little bit, okay, I messed up. And then say, okay, fine. The main work of that is afterwards. But even in Selichot that we started, the whole major part of Selichot, and you're going to see this over the next 10 days, and Yom Kippur is going to go crazy, we say the 13 Midas HaRachamim. The 13 attributes of mercy. Midas HaRachamim. So what happened was, Jewish people get out of Egypt, cross the sea, go and receive the Torah. 40 days later, do the worst thing that was ever done by anyone ever, worship the golden calf. Crazy, yeah? Yeah. Not that it was an apple. No opinion says it's an apple. It was an awful thing to do. 40 days after seeing God face to face, and the main thing God says is don't worship idols, you're dancing around an idol, you're crazy. It's the worst thing that ever happened. Fine. And all the other stuff that happened. So then Moshe goes up, and Moshe at this point is basically like, we got no chance here. There's no way, we are at such a low level that we could never get out of this. But Moshe doesn't give up, and it's from him that we learn this fundamental idea, and it is now therefore in our spiritual genes. All of our spiritual power is in our genes from our forefathers. We have an idea, Zchut Avot. Zchut Avot means in the merit of our forefathers. One of those ideas is that they have given us spiritual DNA. So Avram gave us the spiritual DNA of Mesiras Nefesh, to completely give up yourself when he took his son up to the Akedah. Yitzhak gave us that. We've got these powers. Moshe gave us this power of Ein Shum Yeyush. There is never any despair. Never, ever give up. You think to yourself, that's it, I'm done, nothing I can ever do. Not true. There's always hope. Ein shum yesh ba'olam klal. There's always hope for a Jew. Why? Because we say, She hamalois esayenai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Sing this song of ascents. She hamalois, ascending song. I raise my eyes to the mountain. Me'ayin yavo ezri. Where? How am I going to get out of this? And ayin means from where, but it also means nothing. There's no hope here. Me'ayin yavo ezri. There's nothing. Obviously, our deeper teachers say me'ayin is from ayin, which is ein sof, is Hashem. It comes from Hashem. But you get to a point where you're so low, there's nothing you can do at this point. Ezri me'em Hashem, I say Shemaim Ya'aretz. Hashem can chap you out of it. Doesn't matter how low you've gone, Hashem can chap you out of it. Lots of Gemaras, I think the king Menashe was told by the prophet that he's going to die, and he turned to the wall and he started praying. He just had a prophecy. Prophecy says, you are going to die. Messed up, and he turned to the wall and he davened and he got 15 extra years. 15 Shir Hamalos, by the way. 15 steps of the Pesach Seder. So you're never too late. When you have tefillah, it's never too late. So Moshe goes up the mountain and he says to Hashem, look, we messed up. And Hashem says, fine, I'm going to tell you the secret. The secret is the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. The 13 attributes of mercy. And if you guys say them, then never will they come back empty-handed. If you say this, my daughter asked me a good question. She said, we sometimes say the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim and we don't get immediate, like, everything's okay. So I sweated a bit at that, and I was like, but then no, what Hashem says is when the Jewish people say it, when we as one people, united, unified people, all say it together, it will never be turned away. Just so happens that at least 72% of the Jewish people have never heard of the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. So it's not proved, but we still use it because it has this immense alchemistic power to change reality. Now, how does this work? We got these Hashem, Keorachim, V'chanon, Erech Apayim, Rav Chesed, V'emet, Nosei Chesed, Lalafim, Noisei, Avon, Fesha, V'chata, V'nakeh. It's a very, very powerful idea in Judaism that if we don't recognize Hashem, so to speak, is not here, so to speak. Obviously, Hashem is always here, but if we don't recognize Hashem, then we're not giving Hashem the space to get involved. Kotzker Rebbe asked his students, where is Hashem? And they said, everywhere. Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is really everywhere. Up, down, right, left. Kotzker Rebbe said, no. Hashem is where you let Him in. If you don't let Hashem in, if you're blocked, if your heart is blocked, then Hashem can't get in. Obviously Hashem can get in, but Hashem says, you set the level. So if you block your heart to me, I'm not going to burst it open. You have free will. You have to open your heart. Although we do say that Hashem will circumcise your heart. As soon as you want it, He will circumcise the heart of you and your children. Mal lavavcha v'lavav v'necha. Rashi Tevis Elul, by the way. So Hashem says, if you want the relationship, we'll have the relationship. Ein shum yeyosh. You can always come back to me. Very, very important to understand this. But we have to say them. Why are we saying them? Because if we don't say them, then they're not activated. When you're saying the Yud Gimel Midat Rachmim, the 13 attributes of mercy, you're actually activating them. You're pressing the buttons. Hashem's ready to pour mercy onto the Jewish people. Mamish. Get us out of this whole mess. This year could be over in a second, but we have to empower, as we say every day in the morning prayers, Tnu oz le'elokim. What does that mean? Give strength to God. So most people would freak out. What do you mean give strength to God? How can I give strength to God? Then Hashem's infinitely powerful. So I say, just say He is infinitely powerful, but you have to give Him the recognition in order for Him to then say, okay. The example I always give is if you've got a toothache and someone comes up to you and says, I'm a dentist. And you say, I don't believe you. You're like, I really am a dentist. Yeah, I don't believe you. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mouth. So he is a dentist, by the way. He's the best dentist in the world. But if you don't recognize him as a dentist, he cannot help you. So if we don't recognize Hashem can help us, then Hashem kivyachol cannot help us. That's it. So that's what we're saying. So even the Selichot, now leading up to Rosh Hashanah, where we said it's kind of, I messed up, we're not focusing on the I messed up bit. We're focusing on the Hashem act with compassion. You got different ways to act, and we mention, okay, we messed up. At the end, we're like, Hashem no bagadnu. We do that a little bit. But the main gist of Selichot at the moment is, Hashem, we want to empower you to use that power. As our sages say, we say Hashem tzilcha. Hashem tzilcha, Hashem is your shadow. What does that mean? Who's in control of the shadow? Who's in control, you or your shadow? You're in control. Where you move your hand, that's where the shadow goes. It's not the shadow is moving you. You move your hands, shadow follows. Hashem tzilcha means you move, Hashem moves with you. That's why we'd say, if you forgive other people, then Hashem will forgive you. Hashem will treat you how you treat other people. So if you're going to be not nice to other people and not forgive people easily and so be like harsh, then Hashem says, okay, now I'll take my lead from you. So if that's how you're going to treat other people, that's how I'll treat you. That's why we say it's a very big sin to not forgive someone if you can. Obviously, if you were really badly hurt by someone, I've had lots of people in the last couple of weeks saying, I just can't forgive this person. They did this. And I was like, yeah, you can't forgive that person. Okay? But then you say to Hashem, Hashem, I want to forgive them. That's it. I want to forgive them. I'm trying to forgive them. And hopefully before I die, I'll be able to forgive them. I'll get on that level, I'll be able to forgive them. There is another idea, crazy, we have to look into it. If they don't apologize, you don't have to forgive them. If someone sincerely apologizes to you 3 times, you have to forgive them, otherwise you're doing an avera. If after 3 times you can't forgive them still because you're that hurt or abused, then Hashem's cool. As long as you say, Hashem, I really want to, I'm just really hurt, I'm not on a higher level. If they don't apologize, you don't have to forgive them. Crazy idea. They have to at least own it. Someone did something not terrible to me on Thursday, and then just left me hanging around. And then I got a message from him a few hours later and saying, I'm sorry, something. Not even what you should have been sorry for. I said, okay, we'll do it another time, no problem. I just want to let you know I don't forgive you yet because it wasn't a sincere apology, and you apologized for the wrong thing. But have the best last Shabbos of the year. You should be blessed. Baruch Hashem, I'm sure we'll sort it out. And then he sent me a message like, oh my goodness, you're right. I did this. I shouldn't have done that. And I said, great. Forgiven. I'm not forgiving you. If you don't mean it, I'm not forgiving you. This is very important with Hashem, by the way. You don't have to beg, but you just have to be sincere. My children do something wrong, and then they come up to me and they give me a 10-minute speech, but I know they don't mean it. I'm not forgiving them. But if they just give me one like, oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry, Abba. Forgive them immediately. Hashem's not out to get you. The second you turn to Hashem with one honest feeling of remorse, I'm so sorry, I messed up. Hashem's like, brilliant, back in the game. But you've got to be real. That real remorse. Once again, that real state of painful shame and remorse, we're saving it for after Rosh Hashanah still. But just the Selichot is starting to tap us back into that. Very important. So, Ein Shum Yesh. We never give up. Hashem never gives up on you. We never give up on ourselves. You can always do Teshuva. Amazing story. I've forgotten the rabbi. I'm very bad at this. I need to remember the rabbis of the stories because they deserve to be mentioned. There's a man, and he used to go to the Leipzig Fair. Leipzig Fair was a huge fair in Europe, and many merchants from all over Europe would come and buy all of their merchandise for the year and then take it back. They'd travel for like 3 weeks to get there, buy everything, travel 3 weeks, and then the whole of their parnasa for the whole year came from selling what they got at the Leipzig Fair, a very famous fair. And a man used to go every year, and he went to the same shops every year, same amount of money, got everything. One year he was very sick, and he couldn't go, so he sent his wife. I don't know why he sent his wife. Sent his wife. Gave her a bundle of money, didn't have credit cards in that day, and says, go to this shop, this shop, this shop. So she went first and just went to check with all the shops, and they said, oh, hi, you're Chaim's wife. Brilliant. Yeah, we know him. Don't worry, Chaim's wife. And then she went back to get the money, and she lost the money. Looking everywhere for the money, and she just couldn't find it, and she was very upset, and she went to a few local synagogues, and she put signs up and said, I lost my money. Please, if anyone can help me. But she was like, I lost it. Eventually, she goes to a shul, and she hears that there is a man in the shul who found money recently. He said, hey, I found this money. So they reported, and she went to him, and she saw it was the money. And he goes, thank you so much. And he goes, well, the truth is I need this money, so I'm not giving it back. She said, what do you mean it's my money? And he said, it's not your money, because you lost it in a place which is majority non-Jews, so therefore you have Yeush. This is Gemara, you have Yeush, so it's not yours anymore. And she said, I didn't have Yeush, I put up a sign, and he said, even if you put up a sign, you do have Yeush, because... So they went to the rabbi, and she was like, this is disgusting behavior. Everyone in the community was like, this is disgusting, you can't do that. And he said, I know it's bad, but I need the money, and halachically speaking, it is my money. It was hefka, I found it in my money. He went to the rabbi, and he said, the rabbi thought about it, and he said, the truth is, she may have had yeush. She may have despaired. She may have thought to herself, I'll never find this money ever again. But the truth is, it's not her money. It's her husband's money. And her husband didn't have yeush. Her husband did because he didn't even know it got lost. So he didn't despair. So then there's a whole debate, yeush shalom midas. If you would have despaired of it, had you known about it, would you have despaired of it? There's a whole question, but we eventually, I think the halacha is, yeush shalom midas eno yesh. It's not considered yeush. So she got the money back, big celebration. I heard this story from, I think, Rav Y.Y. Jacobson, and he says, here's a lesson there. Many people despair of themselves. They're like, you know what, I'm so messed up, I just can't do it, I keep messing up. Keep trying to give up smoking, keep failing, I just meant that. So he says, we learn from this story, Yeyosh Shalomidas, which means you can only have Yeyosh for something that is yours. But the money wasn't the woman's money, so her Yeyosh doesn't count. Your own life isn't yours, it's Hashem's. So you can never be Meyayesh yourself. You can never despair of yourself because you don't belong to yourself, and Hashem never gives up on you. So Hashem never has Yeyosh. Hashem never despairs. Hashem always believes in you. Doesn't matter how low you've gone, what you've done, where you've been, doesn't matter. You can always come back. Always come back, because Hashem is Hashem Kel Racham V'Chanan Erech B'Hem Rachet. And we see this is why Aish is so good. We see people coming back all the time. People are like, you know where I was? I told you the story about the 52-year-old Rebbetzin. She did Teshuva when she was 21. She's now 52. Amazing, holy, amazing Rebbetzin. Kids in yeshivas. She teaches. Amazing, pure, holy woman. Called me up crying. Rabbi, how can I ever forgive myself for what I did when I was 19 years old? I was a 19-year-old secular girl. It's disgusting. Like what? So I said to her, you don't have to forgive yourself because it wasn't you. You're a 52-year-old Rebbetzin. That was a 19-year-old secular girl. It wasn't you. You don't have to forgive yourself for that. In fact, the opposite. You should feel good about yourself. Because look who you are now. You were that, and now you've become so great. So you should actually look at that 19-year-old girl, and rather than beating yourself up about it, you should see the 19-year-old girl and see who that 19-year-old girl became. And our kids are in yeshivas and everyone's great. It should be amazing. So we look at our past, now that we're Baal Teshuvas, unbelievable, and we can say, wow, Baruch Hashem, we should get chizuk from our past, that we were so great, that we are now so great. So this is what Selichot is doing this week, is we're basically empowering Hashem. That's very, very powerful. We're empowering Hashem. Some people, some traditions, some religions say that we are sinners. You are born as a sinner. And that's it. And you need all the help you can get. Judaism says the opposite. You are born as a tzaddik. You are born great. You're born as a partner with Hashem. So when you do a sin, that's not who you are. That's you messed up. That doesn't represent you. So you can always come back. You can always return to being who you really are. Not only that, but even a step further, we're so great, we give Hashem power. That's why when you say the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim, even if you don't say anything else, by the way, when you hear everyone start saying Hashem, Havana, Vayikra, just be like, scream Hashem, Hashem, but mean it. Like, and we don't have time. We need to break down what each of them means. Just very quickly, it says Hashem, Hashem twice. It says the first two are Hashem and Hashem, two same name of Hashem. So the sages say the first one means Hashem has compassion before you sin, and the second one is Hashem has compassion even after you sin. So the obvious question is, why does He have to have compassion before I sin? I didn't sin yet. So one answer is that everything is compassion. The fact that you exist, you have eyes, it's all Hashem's being compassionate. Hashem created a space within Himself for the universe. That space is like a womb. He created a womb. A womb is called a rechem. Rechem comes from the word rachamim. It's a place of compassion. The fact of existence is Hashem's compassion. So Hashem's always compassionate, before, after the sin. But you have to believe in yourself. Ein shum yesh, don't ever despair in yourself, and ein shum yesh, don't ever despair. Hashem can sort it out. We just got to be making sure that we're getting together, and how we treat each other, that's how Hashem treats us. So as we saw, we're not prophets, but what happened last year is because we weren't treating each other very well. We left each other. The Jewish people were fighting with each other, so Hashem kind of backed off. He said, okay, you guys sort yourself out. So hopefully this year we're going to be able to sort ourselves out and have compassion and love for every single Jew. The Jews you don't agree with, the Jews who don't believe what you believe, the Jews who you believe are doing the wrong thing, that's okay. Because you also do the wrong thing and Hashem still has compassion on you. You don't have to be perfect, and Hashem says as long as you're trying, as long as you want to be a good person, you're okay. So if we see each other like that, then Hashem will see us like that. Be'ez Hashem, we have Hashana Tova Mutuka Mamish. We didn't